It's raining outside, which is not a very pleasant period for work. So one of the reasons why I've got such a successful year of grapes, first of all, comes from cutting. Approximately 4 or 5 years ago, I never cut grape, and it was a massive plant, and it never gave good results. So what's important is to cut it properly and to cover it so that it can survive harsh winter. So I'm going to look after it. I actually love this period of preparing everything for winter beforehand. In particular, taking care of grapes and covering the plants and prepare the cutting for rooting. I've done a video, a successful one, last year, where I showed how I root grapes, and that is something that I will do the next time. So far I'm satisfied with the varieties I've got, and I think the only variety that I want to get is dark variety, because this one is green and that one behind it, which was the big one, is a bit pinkish. Okay, so as for cutting, as usual, I will tell you the way I do that. I think that will be the 4th year. I need to leave 4 solid vines that I can fix like this, and from the buds it can grow high like that and provide us with the harvest. So looking at this vine, I think I will remove the one that grew sideways and leave it for cuttings. The small thin vine should also be removed. And cutting one of the main vines. Like usually I leave 4 or 5 solid buds, and the many people say that you need to leave less of them. That will be it. This one is the right one, and it should be kind of flexible to cover it laying in the trench. This one is looking pretty fine, and I'm removing some really small vines. And even if I remove more vines, I know that those I leave will grow additional ones during summer. It's not like you cut it and expect it to stop growing. You will grow another one from the spot. I've just cut this one. This one is actually also fine for cuttings, but I think I prefer a thicker variant. Though they are good, I try to take as many cuttings as possible, because the preservation period is the period which is very unexpected, and it's important to get some extra cuttings in case we might lose them. And from the 2 of these, I'm removing this one because I never liked it during summer. It was kind of bothering me every time I was walking through the passage. This is the first, that will be the second vine. Checking buds and leaving 4 or 5 buds on it. Like that. That will be the second. Then looking at what I've got in here, there is another one that I will leave. I just need to cut it shorter. Probably like this. That will be the 3rd. And this one, that will be the 4th vine. And actually it's really good one, especially for cuttings. Leave one extra just in case. And that is the 4th one. That's it. That's ready to be covered grape. Before, the reason why I never managed to cut the grape, because for me that was insane. Like, how come cutting more than 50% of the plant? But that's the way they are. If you remember, I had the second grape here, but it was down with lots of different diseases, and I never could get results from those grapes, so I removed them. Compared to the one that I've cut before, it has thinner vines, but I know that it is younger than that one, and I think the reason behind such thin vines is also because it had an immense amount of grapes, which is not very good for such young plants. So I really need to be careful with the cuttings from this grape. There are also damaged ones, by the way, so the ones that are damaged should be removed. For a young grape, it's better to strive for 3 solid vines. I know that there is one really good, solid, this one. For the second one, just to choose between 2 of them. And the third one, it's either this one or that one. They are thin, but I think I will go with this. I don't want the vine to grow from the very bottom, and by the way, it's damaged, so it's logical I'm removing it in the first place. And now I'm going to form the vines. Isn't it nice? Let's call it a winter box for grape. Only one is ready and the second one is in process. And now covering it with black material to attract and preserve more heat and warmth. Well, that's the final result. Winter boxes are ready for 2 of the grapes, and this big one is for 3 figs. I decided to leave them for the second year and just to look at what will happen. So the only thing that is left is to cover this fig, which is left this one. That's kind of sitting separately, so I need to think of how to cover it. And my rooted grapes, they're actually feeling okay. There are 2 of them, this one and that one. Also, they need coverage. And that will be it for covering, apart from the figs that are inside next to the house, next to the walls of the house. That's the mid of November, and it is time to start preparing grafts and berries, though you can do it even a little bit later. Trees lost their foliage, there were some frosts, and these conditions are really important to assess the time when you start preparing grafts for springtime. This is the apple tree that is left from the old apple orchard of our neighbors. The house has been gone for a long while, but the trees remain. I want to have these varieties in my garden. It is harder to work with old trees though, since you need to look for grafts of this year growth. I cut as many of them as possible, then I'm putting them in several plastic bags, removing air access to avoid dryness, and then I put them in the fridge. I have used this method of preparation for several grafts, like different varieties of apple trees, apricot, plum, grapes and cherry. I literally can't wait to graft them during spring, the procedure of which I'm going to share on my channel. If you're not sure whether you prepared the right grafts, every twig has an annual ring that marks the growth for every year. The tip of the twig is usually the growth of the present year. Also, the color of the twig can help. For now, just look at the plum I have moved. This huge plant is the result of the small twig that I grafted at the beginning of spring.